Daniel White grew up in a small countryside home with his parents, Martha and Robert. They were simple people who lived a modest life, working hard every day just to make sure Daniel never went to bed hungry. His father was a carpenter and his mother cleaned houses in the nearby town. They didn't have much money, but what they lacked in wealth, they made up for with love. Every night they would sit together at the dinner table. His mother would serve soup and his father would ask Daniel about school. Daniel used to laugh and say, "One day I'll be rich, Dad. I'll take you both to the city and we'll live in a big house." His parents would smile, never knowing that one day that dream would come true, but not the way they hoped. Daniel was bright, ambitious, and full of dreams. He studied harder than anyone in his class. His mother would stay up late making tea for him, whispering prayers that her son's future would be brighter than theirs. "Don't worry, Mom," Daniel would say. "When I grow up, I'll take care of everything." Time passed. Daniel graduated from college and moved to the city to find a job. His parents were so proud. His father took a small loan to buy him a proper suit, and his mother packed homemade food for him to take along. At the bus station, she hugged him tightly and said, "Never forget where you came from, my boy." He nodded and smiled. "Of course, Mum. How could I ever forget you?" But the city has a way of changing people. In the beginning, Daniel struggled. He lived in a tiny room, ate cheap food, and missed home terribly. His parents called him every evening asking, "Did you eat properly? Are you okay? Do you need anything?" They sent him money even when they barely had any themselves. His mother used to skip meals so she could send him a few extra dollars. Then one day, Daniel got his first big break, a job at a major company. From there, everything changed. His salary grew, his clothes became expensive, and his name started to appear in magazines. He bought a car, moved into a luxury apartment, and started going to high-profile events. Success had finally arrived, but with it came something darker, distance. At first, he called his parents once a week, then once a month, then not at all. His mother would stare at her phone, waiting for it to ring. His father would say softly, "He's busy, Martha. He'll call when he gets time." But she knew. She could feel her son slipping away. Every festival, every birthday, every holiday, Daniel promised he would visit, but he never came. There was always a meeting, a trip, or some new reason. "Next month for sure, Mum," he'd say. "I'll come next month." But months turned into years. Back in the village, his parents' house grew older. The paint started peeling off the walls, and the roof leaked when it rained. Yet they never complained. They always spoke about him with pride. "Our son works in the city," his father would say to neighbours, smiling. "He's doing great things." But at night, they sat alone in silence, looking at his childhood photos. One day, Daniel's mother fell sick. She had been hiding her illness for months, not wanting to bother him. When she finally went to the doctor, it was too late. Her condition had worsened. The doctor told Robert she needed rest and care. Robert tried to call Daniel many times, but his number went unanswered. He even left voice messages saying, "Son, your mum isn't well. Please come home." Daniel was too busy. He was attending meetings, signing contracts, and planning his next business trip. He saw the missed calls but told himself, "I'll call him later." Later never came. 2 weeks passed before Daniel finally picked up his father's call. The voice on the other end was weak. "Son, your mother." There was silence. "She's gone." Daniel froze. His phone slipped from his hand. He stood there, surrounded by the luxury he had once dreamed of. But at that moment, it all felt meaningless. He rushed back to his hometown the next morning. The house looked smaller than he remembered. The walls were cracked, the furniture old, and the air heavy with silence. On the table, he saw something that made his heart break, a stack of unopened letters. His mother had written him dozens of times, each envelope neatly addressed to his city apartment. He picked one and opened it with trembling hands. Inside was her handwriting, shaky but full of love. "Dear Daniel, I hope you are eating well. The weather is cold here, and your father caught a little fever, but he's fine now. I made your favourite pie last week and thought of you. I know you're busy, but we miss your voice. Don't forget us, my son. We're always praying for you. Love, Mom." Daniel fell to his knees, clutching the letter to his chest, crying harder than he ever had before. His father came out of the small bedroom, his eyes red and tired. When he saw his son, he didn't speak. Daniel tried to apologize, but the words wouldn't come out. He just whispered, "Dad, I'm sorry." His father placed a trembling hand on his shoulder and said, "Your mother waited for you every day. She used to sit by that window, looking down the road, hoping one day you'd walk through that gate. She never stopped believing you'd come." Those words cut through Daniel's soul like a knife. He looked toward the old window and saw his mother's knitting basket still lying there. The chair where she used to sit was empty now, and the silence in the room was unbearable. That night, Daniel sat alone in his old room, surrounded by his childhood memories, the school trophies, the family photos, the smell of his mother's cooking still faint in the air. He realized that while he was chasing success, he had lost the very people who gave his life meaning. The next morning, he told his father, "I'm not going back to the city. I'll stay here with you." His father looked at him and said quietly, "Your mother would have liked that." Days turned into weeks. Daniel helped his father repair the old house. He repainted the walls, fixed the roof, and cleaned every corner. In the evenings, he would sit outside with his father, watching the sunset, just like they used to when he was little. He also started something new, a charity in his mother's name, to help poor families send their children to school. He named it the Martha Hope Foundation. Every time he helped a child, he felt a small part of his guilt fade away. But the emptiness never fully left. Every night, he still walked into his mother's room, sat by her old chair, and whispered, "I made it, Mom. I finally made it, but I wish you were here to see it." Years later, when people asked him about his success, Daniel would smile sadly and say, "Success means nothing if you lose the ones who made you who you are." He had money, fame, and respect. But deep down, he knew that no amount of success could replace the warmth of his mother's hug or the quiet pride in his father's eyes. He often visited her grave, placing fresh flowers and reading the words carved on her stone. She gave everything and asked for nothing. Daniel would kneel there for hours, tears falling onto the cold ground. "I'm sorry, Mum," he'd whisper. "I forgot what truly mattered, but I'll never forget again." And as the wind blew softly through the trees, he could almost hear her voice, gentle, loving, forgiving, saying, "I know, my son, I never stopped loving you." Sometimes we get so busy chasing success that we forget the people who made us capable of chasing it in the first place. Parents don't want your money, your fame, or your achievements. They just want your time, your love, and your voice. Because one day, when you finally have everything you ever dreamed of, you might realize the people you wanted to share it with are no longer there to see it.